Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up, let's talk about it. So I am in a very messy new room in our home. We are getting settled here. So things are a little bit different here. Let me put this coffee down right there. And we're going to get into the topics at hand. So I always get this question a lot every single year before government shutdowns, especially because we were military. People always want to know government shutdowns. How are we affected? Are we worried? All this stuff. And this has always been a question. Now, to be honest, with government shutdowns and will we shut down, I don't know the answer, right? I don't know what will happen. I know that it's happened in the past. I know that we haven't really felt those effects in the past. Will people feel that if the government did shut down? Of course, there's a lot of programs that will keep going, right? There's a lot of programs that people think won't continue, that do continue. And then there's stuff that's just going to be cut off, right? But my thing now, too, is because we went through COVID and because we went through a crisis in the sense of like not possibly people not getting paid, not being able to work, people losing their jobs, not being able to pay rent, whatever, right? Everybody's going to come together and there's going to be consistency. Also, typically when there's a shutdown, if you look at past years that has happened, typically anywhere from 3 days to 15-ish days. I mean, somewhere in that time frame. So typically when there is a shutdown and all of a sudden there's people that are furloughed, there's people, government workers that are not getting paid, and a lot of people get sent home, right? They're not working and things shut down. And that does affect the economy, does affect the country because certain things shut down, right? They just don't happen. Very, very important jobs to just shut down and don't happen. Now, some of these entities that take federal money are still going to be able to keep going because they do have kind of their own money, their own backup money, if you will, to continue to pay their people. I would say if you were concerned, start asking the questions now. I'm sure that they've already happened. I'm sure that information has already been passed if you're going to be affected or not. And then really, because we know these things typically do not last that long, it's easy to talk to creditors, especially like for us military. A lot of times the bank would cover anything that wasn't going to be paid anyway, just because they know it's good money. It's going to come eventually. Now, the only thing that I have of concern, or I guess where it could go left, is if this is the catalyst, if this is the transition to an economic collapse, right? And they use this situation to then, push us off the edge. There's a collapse, and then trying to turn this into, well, we need to go to digital money, yada, yada, that's the fix, blah, 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 right? And so that's really where I think about things and where it could go. That's my concern, is where could it go? What could it turn into? Just on its face, a shutdown, to me is not the end of the world, right? Will people be affected? Absolutely. But I would not panic. You can call creditors, you can call people. They're going to work with you, give you deferments or just a little bit longer. But they typically are going to be able to work with you so you can continue to pay things. I know that it's a little bit hectic now with people paying stuff, and a lot of families are actually juggling stuff and already have credit cards maxed, and so you throw a government shutdown in there, if that affects your family directly, that's a big deal, right? And so, there's those things to think about, but you can do this. Don't freak out. Think it through, have conversations now, and just be watching stuff and not be thinking that this is, the world is on fire. Oh my gosh, government shutdown, losing your mind, losing sleep over it. Okay. Try to get ahead of it the best you can and know now, how is it going to affect you and your family? If you didn't get that paycheck on the first, that's the first hit, is people that are possibly already living paycheck to paycheck, and then the first hits and they don't get a paycheck. And it's that immediate panic. How do you pay the rent or the mortgage? How do you pay your car payments? How do you pay your car insurance? Put food on the table, all your utilities, right? And it starts get panic mode, right? And so think about it now. Think about now, are you going to be affected? That's your first question. And if you are, what are you doing right now to prepare, right? It's too late to save extra money and that type of thing, right? Which would be the advisement, months ago, would be to prepare for these things. This happens every year. And to prepare for these things, you would just need to save, 3 to 6 months of money. But is that easy for everybody to do? No, it's absolutely not easy for somebody to save 3 to 6 months worth of a mortgage or 3 to 6 months of rent, even just that, let alone of your utilities and food and everything else. Okay. But again, this is why we stockpile. This is why we prepare, because that will help with other things. Imagine if, yes, all that stuff happens, it's overwhelming, but if you have stockpiled water, you have stockpiled food, you have stockpiled medicines and toiletries and different things like that, that's items that you have that you now don't need to worry about freaking out that you don't have, okay? And you can just concentrate on, okay, how am I going to work with the bank with my mortgage payment, or how am I going to work with the car payment, or whatever it is, okay? And you go from there, okay? But a lot of companies are going to work with you. But you've got to communicate the best that you can, right? And not let this types of things run your life, all right? So anyway, you guys be well. I hope you guys are doing well. We are doing well. Very, very busy still. We still have a house to sell and get ready and sell, even though we got this place. And so there is still a ton of stuff to do. And winter is, coming, right? It's right around the corner. So there's stuff to do to get ready for winter. And, we have 2 houses that we're basically dealing with, trying to, get one ready to put on the market. Okay. So anyway, you guys be well. I hope you guys had a good weekend, and I hope you have a great start to the week. Take care. Bye.